Morning, everybody.
Morning, Matt. Evan Barnes, commercial appeal, excuse me. First off, welcome to Memphis. Second of all, my first question.
Hey, Evan, I didn't know I had a cousin here in Memphis. Nice to run into another Barnes.
I didn't either. I didn't know I had family on the eastern side, so it's good to meet you. So I guess my first question is just kind of, when you looked at this job in Memphis, just kind of how familiar were you with Memphis, and just kind of what did you see about this defense that made this such an attractive position for you to come to?
Yeah. It's funny that I'm kind of a film junkie, and I've always really liked the X's and O's side of things. And I can't remember exactly why I was watching Memphis film, but it was, I think, I guess not this past season, but the season before. And I thought the corners in particular were really well coached. And I remember looking up and seeing Charles Clark as the corners or defensive backs coach. And, I've known this program to be very competitive and not too terribly far removed from giving Penn State a run in the Cotton Bowl. And, just in what little bit of film I was able to watch here recently, I saw an aggressive, athletic defense, and I had a chance to meet with Coach Silverfield and saw his vision for things. And so really was pretty much right away really intrigued by an opportunity to be here and help coach this defense.
And so I guess too, when you mentioned you saw the cornerbacks, I mean, just you obviously you saw this great defense, you saw this defense at Memphis. So I'm curious, like, what impressed you the most? Also, just looking at the history of Memphis, you said you were familiar with them. What did anything else stand out to you as well?
No, I mean, again, I just think if you look here in the recent past, I mean, it's a place you can win. You go compete for championships here. I mean, that's the standard. And that's what I've, heard from Coach Silverfield from the beginning. So just a chance to go compete and win championships and coach great players.
Thank you.
Frank, and then Brian.
Hey, man, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Have you been able to interact with the rest of the coaching staff yet at all?
Yes. Yeah. Not, maybe not as much as I'd like at this point, but I've spent a good amount of time with the defensive staff and still getting to know some of the support staff guys, and excited about our new offensive coordinator hire and things like that. So everything when you take a new job, there's so many different aspects, things within the building and things that are HR and finding a place to live. So it's there's so many things that go with it. So just, steadily trying to build relationships as we go.
And then, I guess at what time do you think you'll kind of be able to, get your hands on the players and have that coaching moment with them?
Well, we have guys coming in today. Our young guys are in the building now, and our older guys will be here for a team meeting later this evening. I've had a chance to see some of the guys in small groups or individually, but this week gives us a chance to kind of get the defense together as a group.
And then I know you talked about how well coached you saw the cornerbacks were on film. I guess how excited is it to be a part of that and be able to continue, coaching those cornerbacks who you already know are pretty well coached?
It's awesome. I think in the three defensive position coaches we have here are outstanding. I think Kyle does a phenomenal job with the defensive line. He's a young star in this profession. Jordan Hankins could be the defense coordinator, same with Coach Clark. So it's a luxury to have, three guys in place that are so talented as coaches and also great people. And then, they've done a really good job in recruiting and certainly the cupboard looks pretty good right now.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Brian, and then Cassie.
Welcome to Memphis, Matt. This is Brian Moss with Tiger Sports Report. What would a Matt Barnes defense look like? I know there's a lot of talk about where you switch to a four-man down lineman or keep it as a three. What do you see as your defense?
I'll give you the generic answer that most guys would give you, right? Multiple, which is the truth. I don't think, anymore in college football or anywhere, if an offensive staff and a quarterback, if they know exactly where you're going to be and it's the look they've practiced all week and it never changes, it's really hard to play defense these days. These offensive coaches are so good and they do a great job of getting the quarterbacks ready. So, I think you've got to be able to give different looks, and that's different looks with the front, and that's different looks with coverage and disguise and things like that. So I would anticipate being able to play some, as you would call it, 4 down. Now, how many hands are actually down? I don't know. We'll see. At the end of the day, we'll do what's best for our guys, and I think you've got to be willing to be flexible with your scheme and make sure that it fits what your players do best. And if we're not giving our guys, the best chance to be successful, then I don't think we're doing our job.
And when you looked at the Memphis defense on tape, what stood out to you besides, the cornerback, but player wise, what did you like and see?
Fast. I thought it was a fast, athletic defense. I think I can remember, I want to say that, we were getting ready for a game, but we had on a Saturday at Ohio State, I think the Mississippi State Memphis game was on, I believe. But anyway, somehow or another, I saw the first quarter or first half of that game, and it just looked like a fast defense. They look fast and athletic, and we've got some aggressive guys and a good mix of older returning players and some young guys coming in and some young guys that are already here that'll have a chance to develop. So really excited to get to work with these guys.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cassie, and then back to Evan.
Cassie Carlson with WMC Action News 5, the NBC affiliate here. You get to take over a defense now. What are some of the things you've, learned from your previous experiences that you now want to apply to a whole defense?
Well, a number of things. I'd say I'll start with kind of what I was alluding to earlier is just being multiple and finding different ways to create different pictures for offenses. And but at the same time, you walk a fine line as our players are 18 to 22-year-olds and they got class and homework and everything else. So you can't give them everything. You got to find the right balance of how to keep changing the picture for offenses and keep them off balance and find ways to be aggressive. But find that again, that balance of what your guys can handle and go play fast, and then what would potentially be too much for them and confuse them and slow them down.
Evan?
Man, I was looking at some quotes from some of the Ohio State players, and they mentioned just kind of your ability to just kind of teach the game and break it down, like you said. How do you kind of describe that teaching philosophy where you can break it down, things that are very complex, but make sure that guys can understand it very well?
I would say conceptual learning. If you look at every play sort of as its own entity, it's too much. I mean, nobody can recall each individual play, but if you take a technique and you can apply that technique across different areas. For instance, I see a lot of the game as being a former special teams coordinator. I think a lot of the technique of football is learned through special teams, and they're going to meet with Coach Bankins every day that we have practice, and they'll hear those techniques and where we can create, a common language and the technique a linebacker uses to blitz is the same technique that a kickoff player uses to avoid a block against a kickoff return blocker. So kind of stealing some repetitive teaching there. And then again, conceptual learning when it comes to schematics. Rather than teaching each individual call, we teach our guys schemes, we teach them concepts. And if they learn how to play multiple concepts, then it's kind of just plug and play. All right, we're going to play this concept here with this concept here, and that's the defense. Here we go. So try to teach them concepts and techniques. And over time, I think that sticks a little bit better than trying to learn defenses individually and techniques individually, because you have such a scarce amount of time with the players. You gotta try to group things together when you can.
Gotcha. And then obviously you called plays at Ohio State. You also did so at Maryland. So now with you being, really kind of like, in this position now as a full-time DC, how much did those experiences kind of shape you to be prepared for this position?
Yeah, I can tell you I'm excited to have a chance, to do this together with our staff, but to do it, starting now rather than picking it up in training camp or Wednesday of week 3 of the season. So really excited to build this defense together with our veteran players and with our coaching staff, and have a lot of ideas, and ideas are great. But again, it's finding the ability to teach those concepts and give our guys enough bullets to be multiple every Saturday and give some different looks, but again, keep it to a point where we feel confident in what we're doing and can play fast. So just to go back to that, so like with you calling plays before, like how much is that kind of just, I guess, shaped you in the sense of like this isn't something that's new to you, but more like you've been kind of preparing for this, at multiple stops. So this isn't really like a first time situation. How have those two places helped you prepare now to be a DC, I guess? Yeah. Well, I think it's like anything else. I think you learn by doing. I certainly do. I try to quote you that great quote that's out there. Show me and I see, or something like. But ultimately, the message is you get better at something by doing it, right? So I've had 2 opportunities to call defense, and I think you learn from your mistakes. I've certainly made plenty of them, and I'm sure I'll make more as we move forward, and hopefully gets less and less and less. But again, I think you learn through reps, and I've had a chance to get some reps of calling defenses and designing game plans and things like that. And again, I think the best thing we've got going here is Coach Silverfield gives us great perspective from the other side of the ball. So certainly anticipate leaning on him to get his feedback on some things we can do defensively to give offenses problems. And again, I think our assistant coaches here on defense are so strong and really sharp schematically. So we'll lean heavily on them to help build this thing as well.
Thank you.
Mark?
Hey, Matt, obviously coming off of last season and what you did at Ohio State, you probably had you had opportunities to go probably a number of places. I'm curious, when you were going through this process with Ryan, what sold you on Ryan Silverfield, and vice versa? How did you sell yourself to Ryan Silverfield during the hiring process?
Well, the coaching business or industry, it's kind of a fraternity, so Ryan, there's some people in his background that are also in my background. And I think that there was a positive feedback on my part as well as his. I know there was on his, and some of the folks that knew Ryan spoke exceptionally highly of him. And then when we had a chance to speak and I was able to come down here and visit and interview, I think we're very like-minded individuals. I mean, obviously everybody has, their qualities and differences and things that they do well and things like that. But I think at our core, we're blue collar mentality guys, chip on our shoulder guys. And, that really resonated with me, and I saw his vision for the program, and I was really blown away by the facilities here. And I could see right away why, over in recent years that Memphis has had a chance to be so competitive and win championships.
And then following up on something you said, you mentioned at Ohio State, you took over the defense on a Wednesday of week 3. What was that like? And then 2, like the defense you ran last year, would you say that was your defense, or were you calling, you know, your predecessor's defense because of the fact that you were taking it over week 3 and Wednesday?
What was it like? It was a challenge. It was a great challenge. You know, terrific experience nonetheless. You know, whose defense was it? You know, it was hard to say. You know, it was somewhere between some things that we as a staff thought that we needed to do to fix what was an underperforming defense. And so, you know, I don't know that it was a predecessor's or mine. It was, you know, it was kind of somewhere in between. It was somewhat unprecedented circumstances. So it was a somewhat unprecedented response. So really hard to put a label on exactly, you know, where that defense came from. But I give the staff there at Ohio State a tremendous amount of credit for you know, banding together and putting egos aside and finding ways to try to correct the defense.